There's one area of your body I guarantee you that you have never looked into or addressed its role and how it's affecting your hip mobility and even your shoulder mobility. And that area would be, wait for it, your teeth. Now your teeth have not only a profound effect on the position of your jaw and your cranial bones and your neck, but also the rest of your body and your body's ability to feel grounded and stable on one side of your body. What I mean by that is that our teeth on that side, specifically our molars, have a role in giving us an awareness of that side or hemisphere of our body. The way that I like to look at it is that the molars operate in the cranium in a similar fashion as the heels do with our feet. Here's what I mean by that. Go ahead and stand up and get a neutral stance and place one foot slightly more in front of you, maybe just a half step like this. Then bend both knees and try to really lean on the side that's back. It would be hard to do that if your heel couldn't feel grounded and you couldn't get a sense of your heel on this side. It would be hard for you to really feel safe shifting into this side of your body. Now do it for the other side. Bend both knees, lean back, keep your whole foot flat on both sides, but really try to get on the heel on this back side and get an awareness for which side is easier for you to do this on. Now, most people are right side dominant, so the right side is gonna feel more stable. But pay attention to whether the right side feels more comfortable or the left side feels more comfortable. Make sure your zipper is facing this side as well and you're not spun out like this. Now, crazy enough, your teeth have a similar thing going on within your cranium. If you were to bite down gently and you get a feel for which side of your back teeth touch more, this is a similar test to what you just did in the standing position. Inevitably, most people are going to have an increased ability to touch their back molars more on one side than the other. And because a lot of people are right side dominant, a lot of people are going to touch their back right teeth more than their left. Now, it's important for me to preface the rest of this video with the idea that most people, when they try what I'm going to show you, get a positive or negative change. And it can be significant and you can really tell the difference. But that does not mean that you need to go after addressing your teeth and trying to think that that is the root cause of all of your problems. It can be an influence, but because everything is connected, you are ultimately going to have other things influencing your posture and your movement, your range of motion, right? It's not just one thing, but this is a really cool representation of what's happening locally at your cranium and how it can unlock things down the chain. I would say in about 5% or less of cases, people have some significant cranial issue that is limiting them from making meaningful progress and having their adaptations stick and getting really good results that last. And if you think this is you, it's probably not, but if you want to know for sure, then you got to work with someone in person. I'm going to link down below a map of practitioners that are probably more qualified to handle this situation by a case-by-case basis. So before you do this, make sure you get the following measurements. First test you want to get is hip internal and external rotation. Make sure that when you do this, you're just pulling your leg back to about 90 degrees of hip flexion and you're pivoting around your femur, your thigh bone. You're not letting it roll all over the place. You're keeping it nice and in line and only moving through your shin and ankle. Then you're going to get your straight leg raise. Nice and slow and controlled, keeping the other leg down, and then once you feel any excessive tension or you feel like your downside leg is going to move, that's the end of that test as well. In the upper body, get your shoulder internal and external rotation. For this, make sure that your shoulder stays nice and flat and you're not letting it pop forward. And you're also keeping your elbow at a 90-degree angle right here. So you don't want it too low or too high. Keep it right there and go nice and slow. You'll know when you're out of range of motion because you're gonna feel like you have to push through something. What we're gonna be doing is taking a popsicle stick, or you can take something like a business card and fold it in half so it has a little bit more thickness to it, but it doesn't need to be any more wide than this. And you don't really want it to be overly thick. You want to be able to place it in your back furthest teeth and very gently bite down. So something about the thickness and the pliability of a popsicle stick is ideal here. What you're gonna do is you're gonna take this, you're gonna place it in the furthest teeth and very gently bite down, maybe a 2 out of 10. If you overly do it, you're just gonna tense everything up and you're gonna lock up your neck and your bite. So don't do that, just super gently bite down. And then we're going to reassess some of our measurements and see what happened. Now we're going to do both sides. Most people intuitively are going to have one side of their bite more strongly felt than the other initially. But here's what you can do. First, try the side where you don't feel like you bite down as well. Keep it in there and then retest your range of motion. Then put it on the other side, and usually with the side that you already bite down on, if you do it, you're going to get worse in everything. Which is interesting, right? And I'll explain why this is working in a second, but I want you to feel it for yourself and realize that I'm just not making this up. The reason why this works is because everyone has some degree of asymmetrical lateral pelvic tilt, where they're more lateralized to one side of their body than the other. When this happens, usually what we see is a higher right hip on one side, the side we're loading on more, and a lower shoulder on this side, because as we saw earlier, when we try to lean on one heel or the other, when you lean on that heel, this action happens. So we have a pelvis and a spine that's facing the right side. And what we have up top is a head that counter-rotates to the other side. So if I'm tilted to the right down here, I'm going to have to create more symmetry by compensating and tilting my head to the other direction. Now, when that happens, the jawbone right here is going to have a tendency to move a little bit to the left. And when that happens, your teeth touch more on the back right side, in this example of being lateralized to the right. The reason why I'm using the right side as the lateralization example is because, as I mentioned and touched on, most people are right side dominant. I have more information on this specific pattern, which I will link down below. And we can get really deep into the weeds here, but the idea is that a lot of these range of motion tests, while they are biomechanical, they're equally neurological. So by giving yourself an ability to sense the left side better, you are going to create more of a sense of safety within your body, and things can let go and tension can release. Now, I want to end by saying, don't try to fix your own teeth. This is something that definitely requires the input of a trained professional. And because we have a gym here, we're not qualified orthodontists. I'm not trying to give people advice to fix what's going on from their neck up. I'm trying to get people an awareness of what could potentially be going on, so that way they can better be referred to practitioners that are qualified to handle these specific issues. So if you do feel like this is you and you want some input, and you've been trying a bunch of things potentially on my channel and nothing seems to be clicking for you, then you can check out that map of practitioners, and I would definitely recommend seeing someone in person.